China has sent its highest-level delegation to North Korea since the North opened its borders following the COVID-19 pandemic, further strengthening their bilateral ties. For more details, we're joined by Dr. Stephen Noerper this morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. China's third highest-ranking official, Zhao Leji, met with Kim Jong-un over the weekend and said they'll boost cooperation. Is it likely that the leaders of North Korea and China will hold a summit soon?
That's a potential, and it's important that this meeting was the highest level representation from China to North Korea really since 2018. So it means that with the pandemic behind, that China and North Korea are recalibrating relations. Clearly, this comes on the heel of the United States meeting with Japan and the Philippines, and so it's signaling something of a counterweight development. And really importantly, China doesn't want to be left out relative to North Korea's improvements with Russia. And I think China has looked at those in a cautionary way, and hence they're interested in trying to get North Korea back on board and to signal a closer relationship between Beijing and Pyongyang.
Right, and how will stronger ties between North Korea and China affect the Korean Peninsula?
Well, they affect them very directly. Clearly, we're at a period where North Korean tests have been accelerated. There has been a high degree of rhetoric around the peninsula. And so tensions are very, very high. And moving to a de-escalatory tone is very important right now. We've seen how quickly things escalate. We've just seen that with Iran and Israel. And we know that this is a world replete with conflicts, to include Ukraine as well. And so trying to find ways to develop ties, and in this case, China sees North Korea as a way to check the United States and Japan and Korea, South Korea in their enhanced relations, and that trilateral has grown strong. And again, they also see it as something of a complement, but perhaps in some ways a counterweight to Russia's improvement of relations with North Korea. So for China, they're concerned about a flashpoint on the Korean Peninsula, and they want stability. And this sort of meeting is what guarantees that, or at least moves it along for Beijing.
And North Korea is also reportedly working with Japan to hold a meeting between Japanese Prime Minister Kishida and Kim Jong-un. U.S. President Joe Biden also showed his support for the meeting last week. What's your take on this?
Well, the feeling is that any intermediary with North Korea would be helpful at this point, given the escalation of tensions around the Korean Peninsula. Kishida would very much like that, primarily for domestic reasons, as he faces an LDP vote in August. But Kim Jong-un knows that, and so Kim Yo-jong, his sister, signaled a heavy reluctance by Pyongyang and demanded a heavy price, which was not to discuss abductees nor nuclear issues. For Japan, that's a non-starter because both abductee issues, meaning Japanese abducted by North Korea in the 1970s, as well as nuclear issues, which are shared by concerns shared by Japan, the United States, South Korea, and the international community, would be on Japan's agenda. So we'll see where it goes, but it is largely at this point one where Kishida would like a meeting for domestic reasons. Biden, too, sees some benefits to having Japan, one of its strong allies, somewhere in the mix. And of course, Japan would be coordinating with South Korea, and that will take some work as well.
Absolutely. And today, April 15th, marks the birthday of North Korea's late founder, Kim Il-sung. And there's speculation that North Korea could launch its military spy satellite to mark this day. Will the North conduct the launch this month, possibly, maybe even today?
Well, there could be a launch, and we should expect that they will try to do that, especially on the heels of South Korea's successful improvements in terms of satellite launches. North Korea has tried. It failed in its initial attempts. It does have a record now of recent success. It will try to do more. The question is, does the rudimentary technology that North Korea has put up there really allow any enhanced capability? Or again, is it just a way that Kim Jong-un signals to his public that he's prepared and making adjustments for readiness? The feeling is that North Korea's capabilities are very limited. The question mark is whether Russian technology will be introduced in this complex. And if Russia was to assist North Korea in terms of advancements in satellite technology, that would really warrant the concern of South Korea, the United States, and Japan and their international partners, because it would alter, again, the ability and the capabilities, especially given the lethal enhancements that have been made in North Korea's missile technology.
And South Korea put its second reconnaissance satellite into orbit last week. You just talked about capabilities. What's your assessment of North Korea's satellite capabilities compared to the South?
Well, South Korea's are generations ahead and markedly better. And of course, the U.S. And South Korea, share a common interest in this type of space technology, SpaceX being involved. But South Korea has really done a tremendous job in terms of developing latest state technologies. And I don't think we should overstate it or compare it to North Korea's because South Korea is just so much more technologically advanced. Of course, the concerns are with the ratcheting of tensions around the Korean Peninsula. South Korea wants maximum capabilities in terms of what it's reading. And the United States, Japan, and South Korea want to be cooperating and coordinating on real-time assessments of what is happening with North Korea's missile launches.
All right, I guess we'll just have to wait and see when the North will launch its satellite. Dr. Noerper, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, a pleasure.